Shabbat Shalom. It's already this Shabbat, and it's also during Passover week, and today is Good Friday. We're going into Easter Sunday, the Resurrection Day. A whole lot going on right now, just commemorating the best thing that God has ever done for us. I mean, He's done everything He does is great, but this is like the pivotal thing that He's done. And it's just a really good time of the year. And I didn't want to go through this day without recording Genesis chapter 45. So I'm going to go ahead and read that, the King James and Message version, in one video. I'm going to just jump right in. This is King James. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before them that stood by him, and he cried, "Cause every man to go out from me." And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. He wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. And so, now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord to all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith my son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after his brethren talked with him. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. And it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. And the Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto thy brethren, This do ye, lade your beasts, and go. Get you into the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded, this do ye, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt, for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father, and come. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after this manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, See that ye not fall out by the way. And they went up out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he's governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. And Israel said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. So that's the end of King James. I'm going to jump right into the Message version of Genesis chapter 45. Joseph couldn't hold himself in any longer, keeping up a front before all his attendants. He cried out, Leave, clear out, everyone leave. So there was no one with Joseph when he identified himself to his brothers. But his sobbing was so violent that the Egyptians couldn't help but hear him. The news was soon reported to Pharaoh's palace. Joseph spake to his brothers, I'm Joseph. Is my father really still alive? But his brothers couldn't say a word. They were speechless. They couldn't believe that what they were hearing or seeing. Come closer to me, Joseph said to his brothers. They came closer. I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt, but don't feel badly. Don't blame yourselves for selling me. God was behind it. He sent me here ahead of you to save lives. There was a famine in the land now for 2 years. The famine will continue for 5 more years, neither plowing nor harvesting. God sent me on ahead to pave the way and make sure that there was remnant in the land to save your lives in an amazing act of deliverance. So you see, it wasn't you who sent me here, but God. He sent me in place as a father to Pharaoh to put me in charge of his personal affairs and made me ruler over all Egypt. Hurry back to my father. Tell him, your son Joseph says, I'm master of all of Egypt. Come as fast as you can and join me here. I'll give you a place to live in Goshen, where you can be close to me, you, your children, your grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and everything else you can think of. I'll take care of you there completely. There are still 5 more years of famine ahead. I'll make sure all your needs are taken care of, you and everyone connected with you. You won't want for a thing. Look at me. You can see for yourselves, and my brother Benjamin can see for himself, that it's me, my own mouth, telling you all of this. Tell my father all about the high position I hold in Egypt. Tell him everything you've seen here. But don't take all day. Hurry up and get my father down here. Then Joseph threw himself in his brother's Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. He kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Only then were his brothers able to talk with him. The story was reported in Pharaoh's palace. Joseph's brothers have come. It was good news to Pharaoh and all who worked with him. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, this is the plan. Load up your pack animals, go to Canaan, get your father and your families, bring them back here. I'll settle you on the best land in Egypt. You'll live off the fat of the land. Also tell them this. Here's what I want you to do. Take wagons from Egypt to carry your little ones and your wives and load up your father and come back. Don't worry about having to leave things behind. The best in all of Egypt will be yours." And they did just that. The sons of Israel. Joseph gave them wagons that Pharaoh had promised and food for the trip. He outfitted all the brothers in brand new clothes, but he gave Benjamin 300 pieces of silver and several suits of clothes. He sent his father these gifts: 10 donkeys loaded with Egypt's best products, and another 10 donkeys loaded with grain and bread, provision for his father's journey back. Then he sent his brothers off. As they left, he told them, "Take it easy on the journey. Try to get along with each other." They left Egypt and went back to their father Jacob in Canaan. When they told him Joseph is still alive and he's ruler over the whole land of Egypt, he went numb. He couldn't believe his ears. But the more they talked, telling him everything that Joseph had told them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him back, the blood started to flow again. His father Jacob's spirit revived. Israel said, "I've heard enough. My son Joseph is alive. I've got to go and see him before I die." Okay, I'll try not to make the commentary too long. I just love this story so much. As I said, I love Joseph. He's just a real stand-up guy. Stand-up human being, really. But just as a man, he's just so stand-up. He's just really honorable and just does things so well. He was the best guy for God to choose to do this thing. And not just saving his family and Israel. You know, the Israelites, the Hebrews, the Jews. But also, he saved everyone that was in the vicinity of this Egypt. Of everyone, even around the surrounding area of Egypt and the people. I really think that, as you can see in this story, there weren't a lot of really great, noble, trustworthy people to do this that would have done this right. So God actually chose the right person for this job. And I just really love Joseph's character. He's just a really good person in his heart, you know, really a man of God trying to do the right thing and all the aspects of his life, you know. It's not, I'm sure he wasn't perfect, but my goodness, he was quite stand up. And I can just relate to him a lot, just in the heart, just wanting to do what's right, and sometimes just people not really being the best towards you, or thinking that you think you're better, or that you're goody two-shoes, when it's just your character. You just want to do the right thing. You want to be kind. And somehow it, I don't know, it just seems to spark things in people to do wrong toward that type of person. I don't know. But he's just a really good example in how to handle it. I really just take a lot of notes from his character and his story. I love the fact that, as we already previously said, his brothers were carrying this guilt of what they'd done, you know, in the past, and God has already gotten a lot of vengeance on them anyway. And then on top of that, they've learned their lesson, you know. They're not trying to repeat this again. And the guilt's been with them the whole time, despite how they've lived their life for the past, I guess, 15 years now or something like that. But Joseph is really forgiving, you know, despite what they did. He's just so, happy to see his family and even have that blessing. And it's all from God's arrangement from the beginning, and he's recognized it. That dream, those 2 dreams that he had about the brothers bowing down, you know. It wasn't to be this whole, I'm going to be your leader, you know. It just was a prophecy of what was to come, was that Joseph was going to be used to save everyone. And what that dream had signified, it came true. He did. He is basically Pharaoh. He's basically, and he's in charge of running this place. And he went through a lot of training. If you really look at it, a lot of training to get him to this place. Even though it seemed like such a terrible thing at first, all this that was happening, it was all God's plan. He was using how terrible some people were to him to build up his character and train him for this great role that he was going to fulfill. And he had the heart and the soul to be trusted to do so. And he passed the tests. And it's just really interesting. He's recognized that. I'm trying to find where it says. It says in Genesis chapter 45, verse 4, "And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, who you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, not angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life." He's already recognized why this all happened. And it's really interesting that sometimes it's the best, especially if you're really trying to do the right thing and you're following God. It's the best thing that at first, you might go through so many years of like not understanding God's plan or why he's doing what he's doing. But then you come to recognize why eventually, like he'll sometimes let you in on the plan. And it all will make sense at some point. Sometimes it doesn't, I'm going to be honest, but I feel like there's so many times that it does come to pass at some point where after everything that you've been through, and it just kind of comes together into an aha moment of, oh, I see what you did there, God. I've had a lot of moments like that. I think I'm going to have a lot of them soon. More, just based on certain things that have been occurring in my life over the last few years. I found myself wondering why has this happened? Doesn't even make any sense. And it's just another reason why I love Joseph's story, is because I can just resonate with him so much, his character and who he is in the heart. You're just trying to do the right thing and you get all these haters for no reason, some people you don't even know. But also I understand like watching his journey of, it's just, God is just using it. He really is. And it's not for you to get scared or try to, separate from God or not believe in him. That's the time to really dig your heels in and cling to God, and his plans and whatever he's got going for you. Start saying your prayers deeper and really looking for his signs and really asking for strength and protection and just everything, from God. This is the time that you're supposed to be with him for real so that he can use you and develop you, and whatever else plans he's got for you. And it's just, for me, it's one of the best. It is the best decision I've ever made in my life. I don't know how people do it without God. That's crazy. I need him every second of the day. And Joseph his story is just such a good example. I know there's a reason even why I'm reading his story now. It's all like has a purpose. Nothing is a coincidence. And it's definitely interesting. He's definitely been training me in the past few years of my life for greater things. And I definitely think that I can't really explain things yet. I wish I could. But I'm waiting for it to wrap itself up, and I know God is just speaking to my spirit. He's letting me know that there's so many things that I can't speak about yet, because it's in the middle of actually processing and things. And it's just better, like when you're in the middle of something, it's better that you don't say much until it's done. That's my advice. It's a good idea to keep silent on a lot of things, and also just let people believe what they're going to believe at that point, when you're going through it. Just let them believe what they're going to, because just let God do what he's going to do. And then once it's completed, then that's the time to share your testimony. And I'm just waiting, guys. I'm on my heels waiting to tell you so many things. And I know it's wrapping itself up, so I'm doing everything I can to be really patient, because I know the testimony, it's like a huge testimony, and then there's little testimonies in this testimony. that I'm just so eager to share with you guys, because I know it's going to help increase your faith and just kind of help your relationship and your journey with God. Just like this book, in Genesis, this story of Joseph has helped me and other people's testimonies in today's time. I just want to pay it forward, because I think that's also part of the reason why I've gone through some of the things that I have. And I've had people say to me, especially in the recent time, they're like, some people who do know my story, they'll go like, how are you still singing and how are you still smiling after all of that? And it's like, it's because of God. I just promise you, like, God is that amazing that, a lot of things can happen to you, but it just depends on how you want to react to it, respond to it, how you even want to perceive it or interpret it. A lot of people will take negativity or just it just goes to some other... When you grow up, there's a mature way to handle things, and I think most adults that I've come across have trouble with handling things in that fashion, in a positive fashion. So many people hold grudges or just try to hold grudges, or just there's jealousy and bitterness and all of this, that for some reason, I don't know, like maybe we just didn't learn in childhood, or we just didn't learn how to conquer that or something. I don't really know. There's a lot going on, but for me, what's helped me was God, reading His Word. And I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling on at this point. It's just, when you're with God, He just really shows you how to live life in a good way that's mature, that's pure, and true and authentic. When you don't have Him, it's kind of like you're just living in the flesh, and you're making choices based on some internal way that I really can't really relate to anymore, that I can't really even describe anymore. It's just some kind of way that's just about ego and self, that I don't know. I just kind of find myself, like how I am now, unable to really relate to that stuff anymore. There was once a time when I could, though, but I don't know. It's been a long while since I've lived like that. So, and I'm grateful to God for just taking me out of that. I love that Joseph had forgiven them, because he just realized that it was a part of God's plan, and he loves them. He missed them, and this is just such a gift that God has reintroduced them, even despite all of this that's happened. And I just love His forgiving nature. Sometimes I realize, like, you can forgive and be able to reconcile with people. Sometimes you can forgive and just be able to be cordial too. But also there's times where you forgive and you don't ever see that person or deal with that person again. And that's okay too. That's totally okay. You can forgive and love a person from far off, or, somewhere else. That's okay too. I think the important thing is that you do forgive them. Not because they deserve it or whatever. It's not really about that. It's about your character. It doesn't matter if they forgive you for whatever, they think that they've done to you. It doesn't matter any of that. It's just like if somebody's really cruel or nasty to you or abusive towards you, you don't have to be that way back. Like, why would you become that type of character too? Let them be that if that's what they choose. But you can decide what kind of character you want to be. And for me specifically, I'm not that kind of character. I don't have hate in my heart. And there's nothing nobody can do. There's no amount of hate or whatever someone does that will ever make me into that type of character. And God will help you with that, if you struggle with that and try and get your lick back, when you should just leave the vengeance to God, because God will take care of it. Leave that to Him. That karma that you guys talk about, quote unquote karma, that's God, taking care of business. It's not for you to do. Your job is to forgive and give grace, and mostly because of your character, and also because God does that all the time for every single person on this planet. He's given us so much forgiveness and grace, and he commands it, guys. Like, it's a big one. That's a big sin, is unforgiveness. He doesn't even listen to your prayers if you don't do it. So just do it. Like, it can only help, and then hurt. And as I said, you can forgive people, but that doesn't, if they're like really continuously abusive and have hate in their heart, that doesn't mean that you have to deal with them. Please understand that. When you're forgiving people, it doesn't mean that you have to continuously put up with unhealthy environment or unhealthy, interaction. You don't have to. You can just forgive them and move on from that and not have that be a part of your life. But forgive them still, like really wholeheartedly forgive them. Give them that grace and then move on. So I love that God has made a way that he was able to forgive and still have them around, because that's the best kind of forgiveness, is the kind that you can reconcile and continue and have a fresh start or something. I just really love this for him. The brothers were really scared and they felt guilty. And it's just all because of what they did, They're feeling guilty because of their own internal for what they did. It has nothing to do with Joseph whatsoever, because Joseph is actually really, really kind. And that's kind of what happens when you do a lot of really dirty things and the person didn't deserve it. These people carry this stuff with them. Unless they make it right, they carry it. It doesn't matter if they try to look tough or act like it, I'm doing this stuff and like it's just not a big deal. Deep down, it's like, low-key, you're a monster for what you did. And you're not even trying to make it right. Yeah, they carry that. I don't know why a person would do that. Pride, ego, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really live those ways. So I've kind of lost touch with why, like, hateful stuff and abusive behaviors. I don't really understand that stuff. And it isn't really for me personally to understand. I don't really care to. What I've learned, though, also what stood out for me also was the end where Jacob, aka Israel, is like, he's like on the verge of like, I'm going to croak over if I lose another son. I don't mean to laugh at him, but he's just ridiculous sometimes. I do like the fact that even in his old age, he gets some grace. And when he finds out that this son he thought, his quote unquote favorite son, which is already terrible. Don't have favorite kids, please. But his favorite son, he thought that he died. And he didn't, He's learned after all this time and all this grieving that he'd done that his son was alive the whole time. And not only is he alive, he's like this huge, big, prominent being. That's basically the reason why all of these people in Egypt and then the surrounding areas are able to sustain and stay alive during this 7-year famine. God is really using this son. And he's really using this son despite all of these people that came at him with hate and they were just trying to kill him and defeat him and just break his spirit and stuff. Like, just for years, for 13 years, he went through that stuff. And God just wasn't going to let it happen. I love every bit of that. God just ended up using whoever was hating on him. He just used him to like push Joseph up higher and higher. God is awesome because he really does that. He still does things like that today. He's God. He never changes, guys. So he's doing stuff like that for his children even today. I can vouch for that. He's doing that for me too. I'm not going to get too deep into it because, as I said, I'll tell you the details of my testimony for sure. But I've had people I don't even know, like grown men and everything, just hating on me for no reason. Don't even know me. But he has the most abusive, hateful energies I've ever seen for no reason. And God just uses that. Like, I'm over here singing and smiling and happy and blessed. And God's just got this hedge of protection. He's just over here leading me to some really interesting places. And, especially my relationship with him, which just made me so much closer to him and understanding him more and just understanding his ways more and how to utilize it and just using it for my life. I just can resonate with this story so much. And I know I'm not the only one, but I do like that it's a really nice ending. They're basically about to move to, close to Joseph. And probably get like free food, free provisions, free land, all this. They're about to get the hookup because they're Joseph's family. And Pharaoh's like overheard it. And he's like, bring them, bring your family. Like it's just like a whole bunch of blessings, after all of that craziness that had happened. Joseph passed the test. He just had this great heart of gold. He was trying to live a good life and do right. And God used that. He didn't just use it to bless Joseph either. He used it to bless everybody. like that whole country and the surrounding areas and Joseph's family. Like, he just used it for the good, just from this one person having a good heart. And Joseph didn't even, abuse his power even when he got it. He didn't like, I'm going to get you guys now, like he wasn't like that. And I love that. I love that so much. Instead, he cried and he was so happy and he just wanted to do right by them anyway, because he could see that they were already tormented enough, So, I say all that to say that's the end of chapter 45. We've got about 5 more chapters to go before we can say, hey, we just got through Genesis, which is pretty cool. Genesis is just such a cool book. It's the beginning, right? But there's so many hidden gems in it. There's so many hidden gems in the Bible, period. But Genesis is just such a special book. And it's just the perfect start into introducing you to the Word of God if this is your first introduction to God's Word and just the story of the planet Earth, right? And God's relationship with us. Some people like to start in the New Testament, which I won't say that that's wrong. You're going to start wherever God tells you to start. But for me, when I first read through the Bible for the first time, it was through Genesis. And even when I was a kid and we would do like Bible study during the Shabbat or something, like with my grandmother, most of my memories, a lot of it would come from Genesis, reading it, and just being a silly kid, we're making jokes about what we read. And my grandmother having to like get us in check, put us in check. Like, man, I've got some really interesting Shabbat memories as a kid. But Genesis is definitely a book for me that stands out like big time. It's just been the book for some reason since I was really little that I always read and just, got a lot out of personally. But we're going to be moving into Exodus really soon, which is also a really good book. I was thinking about that today because it's Passover / Good Friday / Resurrection Sunday. Like, there's just a whole lot going on. And it's the Shabbat right now. There's a whole lot happening right now. And I was thinking to myself, I was going to switch things up and read something from Exodus because even Exodus, like, Jesus is in there, guys. He's just all through this whole thing. God is like the best author in the world. And I don't know if you read my blog. Some of you probably have read it, where there's a few entries I've made about like a book that I'm writing and how that writing this book and like putting this love into my characters really makes me think about God writing our stories, He's the ultimate author, and he just really is. Like, we have our free will, and I've said this a few times. We have our free will, but God's will is like the end-all, be-all. It doesn't matter what we do, okay? Like, whatever the story that he's written out is going to play itself out. It doesn't really, and we can choose what we're going to choose, but it's just like this chapter 45. God's will, he's just going to use it. He's just going to use it for whatever the story he's got written. So you can make good or bad choices. You're allowed to. He's allowed that, that freedom for you. But whatever his plans are, it's going to just be anyway. It doesn't matter. So, I don't know. I'm going to let you guys go. Shabbat Shalom. And happy resurrection. Well, I'm probably going to be reading on that day, so I'm just going to say Shabbat Shalom, and I hope your Passover is going really well, and happy Good Friday. This is the day that he was crucified for our sins, and it's crazy, because that's just, who does that? Only God would do that, because I'm sorry, human beings are just too dang unselfish to care about another person in such a way. At least most of us are. Let alone for doing it for the whole world, let alone doing it for people who probably, some people just have no respect for God, hate his guts, all this, and like would never acknowledge all the things that he does every day, just waking them up, giving them breath in their body, shelter, jobs, money, food, just the things of life, that some of us think that we're doing it ourselves. And it's not us, because if God wanted to take it, he can take it. And he's blessing you with this stuff every day. You're expecting, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. If God says you're not going to wake up tomorrow, then you're over. So be grateful that he's actually giving that to you. I feel bad for people who don't believe in him and think that they're running on their own power, when in reality, most people don't want to face the fact that we're living on a planet, that's spinning, and we got about 80 years before it's over. We're not here forever. We're born and then we die. I don't understand the point of people living like they're going to be here forever. Like, this is, it. You're not. You're going to die one day. So don't believe it. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. You're going to die one day. Nothing here is forever. You get to keep nothing too when you die. You don't get to take any of the stuff that you feel like you earned. You don't get to take any of that. You don't even get to take your body. So whether you believe in God or not, you know that to be the truth. Do you want to know what happens to yourself? Do you want to know what is beyond this? Because there is something beyond this. You came from somewhere before coming into this planet, coming into this body, coming into this life. And you're going to go back there, when it's done. So really, think about it. That makes people so uncomfortable. A lot of people get so uncomfortable with that because they want to be cozy in their little moment and their little life. And it's just, there is no such thing, really, unless you live in denial. And so I don't say these things to make anybody uncomfortable. I'm just being honest. At some point, if you really care about yourself, if you think that you have any real true worth of yourself, you're going to start asking yourself those questions at some point. And you're not going to ask yourself those questions in a worldly manner and be like, well, I'm Christian, I go to church. No, do you have a relationship with God? Do you have any idea where you're going to be going after this when it's all said and done? Do you think that you're decent? The way that you treat people, do you think that that's going to be deserving of going somewhere better after this? Or is your reward just this living your quote-unquote best life here now, and then when your time is up, that's it? I don't know. So I say all these things to create some food for thought for people. I want to convict you because God's got me here doing this for some reason, and it isn't to be nice. Be hunky-dory and it's not for that. I'm here to tell you the truth. You're here for a temporary period of time, and there's nothing in this world that should be that important to you, like money or power or ego or looking a certain way. Even a person, having a person or a lover or wife, husband, children, none of these things should be that important to you. It should not be that deep, especially if it means trying to treat some other people in some poor manner. There's something so much bigger to life than that, and it has a lot to do with treating other people with respect, or at least human decency, because sometimes that can be difficult. But anyway, I'm running on. I'm saying all these things to get you guys to really think, because at any point God could say that your number's up. Nobody really knows how they're going to die until it happens. And it could happen at any point in time, for any reason. You could be driving in your car, and that could be the last ride you ever take. You could lay your head down, and that could be the last time that you go to sleep. You could go to work, and that could be the last work day you'll ever have. So really think about that, Don't wait until it's the end of your life or some sudden messed up situation to happen to you before you start questioning what life is all about, or start reaching out to a higher power to figure out, how to save yourself. So, I'm praying for everybody out there that everyone has the opportunity to be saved. That everyone has the opportunity to really reach out and want to know what this whole thing called life is really all about. It's not about materialism. It's not about things, or it's not about gaining and getting. It's not, guys. It's about so much more. And this is the perfect weekend, the perfect day even. Jesus dying for our sins is like the ultimate example of selflessness. He died for people that don't give one crap about him and will live their whole life never ever acknowledging him. He died for people who hate him. He died for all of us who committed, and I mean every single one of us, he died for all of us, and each and every one of us committed some terrible acts in this life. He died for that. And for me, because like he showed me so much love, I don't want to purposefully do that stuff. Naturally I don't, but also just knowing like the significance of his death and what he went through so that I can have a chance. I don't want to be somebody who goes out there and does those things or treats someone those ways on purpose. I want to make my Father proud of me and pleased with me. I want to have a good heart. That's why he did it. To change us into better people and give us a chance. So, I pray that you guys have a really good weekend. Great Shabbat. If I don't pop in tomorrow, I might, just because it's kind of a special weekend and everything. And it's been a really good week. A lot of blessings this month even. And I just pray that also you guys are receiving your blessings and are grateful, counting your blessings. God is just amazing. And I just pray that we're able to recognize things like that about him. I mean, he deserves it. Even if what we have are filthy rags, he deserves it. And yeah, God bless you guys. God bless you all. We'll be getting into chapter 46. If not tomorrow, then we'll do it on Sunday. But we're pretty much at the end of Genesis. And we're wrapping up Joseph's story and basically the origin of the Israelites, a.k.a. the Jews. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. It's a really good story. Yeah, that's it. Pray you guys have a good Friday night. Good intro into your Shabbat. So, I love you guys. God bless you. And really, guys, please think about this stuff. Just really think about what life is really all about. Like, it's just so important. And I know that he has me on here to tell you guys stuff like this. He's asking me to be used for these things. And that's the reason why I come on here every day. It's not easy coming on here every day. Sometimes I don't want to do it because it's life, you know. But I'm doing it because I'm convicted, and I know that it's for some people out there, really. It's meant to reach some of you guys. And I'm honored that God has provided the provisions for me to do that, you know, for him and for you guys, and just for my own heart, my soul too. So, all right, guys. God bless. I'm talking and talking, so God bless you guys. See you on chapter 46. Shalom, and I love you. Bye.